Maulana Abul Kalam Azad was named Firoz Bakht at birth but was known in his youth as Muhyiddin Ahmad and later adopted the pseudonym of Abul Kalam Azad. His political awakening was stimulated by the partition of Bengal in 1905. He travelled extensively in Iraq, Egypt, Turkey, and France and had planned to visit London, but his father's illness obliged him to return home in 1908. Maulana Azad also started some Urdu weeklies like Al Hilal in July 1912 and Al Balagh in November 1915. When Azad was externed under the Defence of India regulations, the governments of Bombay, Punjab, Delhi, and United Provinces banned his entry and he went to Bihar. He was interned in Ranchi until 1st January 1920. After his release, Azad was elected president of All India Khilafat Committee and the Unity Conference at Delhi. He was elected president of the Indian National Congress in 1923 and again in 1940 and continued to hold this office until 1946. India Wins Freedom, published in 1988, is an enlightened account of the partition from the author Maulana Azad's perspective. It includes his personal experiences when India became independent and his ideas on freedom and liberty. The book takes the form of an autobiographical narrative and goes over the happenings of Indian independence movement. The book traces the events that took place and ultimately led to the partition in a frank and profound manner. The book says that politics was responsible for the partition more than the religion. It also states that India failed to maximize its potential when it gained independence. The book discusses political hypocrisy and also touches upon contemporaries of the authors like Nehru, Gandhi, and Subhash Chandra Bose and highlighted their mindsets during that time.
In this book, you will find about Mahatma Gandhi and where the Britishers wanted Indian National Congress to support them in World War II. Whereas Mahatma Gandhi believed that we are non-violent. We are never going to support Britishers in war, even if they give us independence. Wherever you will find Maulana Azad perspective that we can support Britishers in condition of providing freedom to us. Another phase that is discussed in this book is Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Maulana was not very happy with Sardar Patel at some points. There are some factors that have been discussed. First, in election of Mr. Nariman, who was a Farsi, and after 1935 and 1937, when there was legislative election in the Bombay state, Mr. Nariman was the most prominent leader of the Congress that time, but he was replaced by B.G. Khare, who was a Hindu. Here Maulana felt that Sardar Patel supported B.G. Khare. That was wrong because Congress was the party of everyone, every Indian. Similarly, you will find that he had discussed with Dr. Rajendra Prasad where Shri Krishnan Sinha was met the leader in Bihar replacing Syed Mohammed. This part of the book was not published initially in 1958. It was published in 1988 as Maulana had written these topics and sealed them in an envelope and wanted them to be published after 30 years. It was a very intelligent move by Maulana Azad because at that time it would have brought a very bad impact in the society. You will find very many discussions with Jawaharlal Nehru. Also, Nehru was a very close friend of Maulana Azad. There were many discussions, there were many distincts, but still they both believe in secularism, and Maulana has dedicated this book to Nehru, calling him a comrade. Then you will find very many things about Maulana himself, his early life, his education, his travels, his family, his young.
Azad takes us into the times, mindsets, and the outcomes of the contradictory stands taken by his illustrations contemporaries like M.N. Roy, Gandhi, Patel, the Nehrus, Motilal and Jawaharlal, C.R. Das, Rajaji, and Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Maulana recounts two of his conclusions during the talks with the British that were doomed to failure. First one was the arrest of the Congress leaders on the morning of 9th August 1942, following the Quit India resolution, and the World War II was coming to an end with the Allies firmly in control. The second was at making fresh attempts to meet Jinnah to come to an understanding with the Muslim League. While speaking about Jinnah, Maulana was very critical. He never saw him as a leader of all the Muslims in India, because there was a point when Jinnah wanted all the Muslim representatives in the cabinet should be that Muslims should be nominated by the Muslim League and the Hindus should be nominated by the Indian National Congress. After Azad stepped down from his Congress presidency in 1946, he said later that he had have preferred Vallabhbhai Patel as successor, but under intense pressure had to choose Nehru. He frankly concedes, "That was perhaps the greatest blunder of my political life." He would have never committed the mistake of Jawaharlal, which gave Jinnah the opportunity to sabotage the plan. I cannot forgive myself when I think that if I had not committed the mistakes of the history of the last 10 years would have been different. It indeed would have made a world of difference to India's history. No partition and massacre of both Hindus and Muslims, no Pakistan, no wars, no cross-border terrorism, and 26/11s. Finally, the narrative ends on a note. Can anyone deny that the creation of Pakistan has not solved the communal problem but made it more intense and harmful? We cannot say today which reading is correct. History alone will decide whether we had acted wisely and correctly. Thank you. Jai Hind.